It's a real shame I can't welcome you into school for this talk, but hopefully this is a good second best. This is something that students really look forward to. They're a bit more mature than when we had a similar talk in Year 9. Their ideas on where they want to go next are a bit firmer. It's a lot more exciting and important for them. It is something they do look forward to, and I would strongly encourage you to talk through this carefully with your children at home. So today's talk will be broken up into 3 sections that do really overlap quite a lot, especially the first 2. So how to make choices for next year and how to choose your A-level subjects, how that actually works here at Charter, what we expect of the students, what they need to do to be successful, and linked into all that, it's one of the key things for Year 12 and 13 is making sure they're prepared for life after Charter, that they've done everything they need to do to apply, usually for university. So, just like the IGCSEs, we use Cambridge for our A-levels as well. The 2-year programme, though, is usually, though not for art and music, broken down into 2 one-year courses. So, at the end of Year 12, students will sit an AS level exam. This is either a standalone qualification, so they will get an AS level certificate, but also it counts to half of their A-level. So at the end of Year 13 they will sit another exam called the A2, and the AS and the A2 together gives them their A-level grade. This means they have to be working from the start. They can't just ease themselves gently into A-levels, because that Year 12 exam, they have to be ready for it, because it does matter at the end of Year 13 for their university entrance exams. This is a question I get asked every year. Unlike at GCSEs, there are no compulsory A-levels. You don't have to do maths, you don't have to do English, you don't have to do Thai. Unlike the IB, you can do the subjects you want to do. So if you love science, you can focus on science. If history and geography and things like that are your thing, then you can avoid those horrible number-based subjects that you don't like. You can play to your strengths and therefore do really, really well. The reason we have entry requirements into Year 12 is to stop you wasting 2 years of your life on a course you're not going to pass. We did lots of research, and these are the levels at which, if you haven't reached, you're not going to do well at A-level. If you haven't done well at IGCSE, you're not going to magically turn it around, okay? This is how this works. You need to have 5 A stars to C at IGCSE. You need a C at least, and preferably a B in the subjects you want to do at A-level. And if it's core or extended as an option, then your C needs to be in the extended. Experience tells us if you haven't got these, you're not going to pass your A-levels. Are they easy? No. And it is a big step up from IGCSEs. But we offer loads of support and help. It's important that you work hard from the beginning and develop really good habits really quickly, and then it's manageable. If you fall behind, you will find it very difficult to catch up, because there's lots and lots of work to do all the time. Just staying where you're meant to be is hard work. Okay, having to stay where you are and catch up is really, really difficult. This is something that's very important. Lots of students want to do 4 A-levels because they think it's more impressive. Universities, as a general rule, are looking for really good A-level results, and 3 really good A-level results is far better than 4 just good A-level results. You are far better off with 3 A's or 3 A stars than 4 A's and 2 B's. Much better off. The only exception to this really might be some of the universities in Hong Kong or some of the Korean universities who do want 4, so you need to think about that before you make your final decision. So far, no student has been unable to do the 3 or 4 A-levels they've wanted to do. Okay, I've managed to make the timetable work so everyone gets what they want. I can't guarantee that'll happen this year. Sooner or later, there's going to be an impossible combination, but I will do my utmost, and up until now, everyone has got the combination of A-levels they've wanted to do. Okay, so there you have the list of subjects you can choose. Up to you which ones you choose completely, but choose carefully and sensibly. So, what was the typical Year 12's timetable look like? Well, you have 6 lessons per A-level, so that gives you either 18 or 24 periods out of your 35. If you want to go to university in the English speaking world, you will usually need proof that your English is up to standard if English isn't your first language, which I know is most of you, and that's usually what's called IELTS qualification. You get a number 1 to 8, I think is the top one, and you need at least 6.5 or 7 to go to a university. So we give you 2 hours of coaching of that a week. You have to sort your own exam out for that. We can't do the exams here, but we can help you get through it. You get 1 lesson of PE a week and 1 lesson of what's called PBL, which I will explain more about now. Other schools call this subject things like sixth form studies and stuff like that. We call it PBL because we did. And this is all the extra things you need to know to be successful. And there are a couple of strands to this. So we start off by looking at study skills. I'll talk about why that's so important in a moment, but how to make the best use of your time and be successful at A-level. It's all very well us saying, well, you've got to work hard and make best use of your time. You need to know how to do that. We also try to look at some of the advantages that perhaps doing the IB would give you, and we bring them here to us. And this is one of the things that makes this course unique, is we try and incorporate some of the IB ideas in there. So there's a philosophy and ethics course, which is akin to the TOK course, but students tend to like it a lot more because A, it's shorter, and B, we don't have to do the same assessments they do in the IB, so we just focus on the interesting stuff. We do an IPQ, which is again is a condition of graduation in year 13. So it's an extended essay in IB talk. You have to write a 4,000 word essay on anything you like of your choosing, but it needs to be an academic style reference essay. And that's something you will need to be able to do probably almost on a weekly basis at university, so practicing it really useful. You have to do 50 hours of community service, so we look at that, and we look at university preparation. Okay, I've hinted at this a couple of times. It leaves us with study time. It is not free time. It is the bridge between university and work and school, and it is so important. It is the defining thing for your success. Okay. You will have lots of support for this in PBL. Students often find it hard to adjust, and so we have fairly strict rules about what we expect them to do and how we expect students to use their time in order to make the best use of it. And once they get in the habit of it, they know what to do and they manage to do it. But it's part of that becoming more of an independent adult, and we're trying to help them develop that slowly over time. So what sorts of things can you expect to do in your individual study time? It's not a replacement for homework. It is as well as homework. We would expect you to do 8 to 10 hours of independent work per subject per week. Now that takes you up to somewhere around 40 to 45 hours a week of schoolwork. So it's about the same as a full-time job. If you want to do extra A-levels, you have to understand it means extra work. Okay, and we will show you what you need to do in order to make the best use of that. Okay, at the start of the school year, we monitor this quite closely, and as you show us you can respond to it and you know what you're doing and you can be trusted, that level of monitoring may reduce for you. If you can't show us you can be responsible, the monitoring will keep going and perhaps even get more intense. Okay, it is so important you make use of the study time. So things you might be doing. Yeah, you've got time to do it. You can do some homework there. Perfect. But you still have to do some work at home, even if it's not homework. You need to review your lessons, the bits you didn't get. What didn't you get? What don't you understand? Can you work it out yourself, or do you need to go back to your teacher and ask? You need to prepare revision notes. We will spend loads of time talking about how to do this and why it's important. Past papers are, again, really important if you want to do well. The same questions come up, and certainly the same style of questions come up, and if you do them again and again and again and again and again, by the time you come to the real exam, A, you'll know exactly what you're doing, and B, a lot of the time, you might well have answered something, if not exactly the same, really similar. We want you to read ahead, so you're ready for the lesson. You've perhaps already read it and gone, well, I understand that, and I understand that, and I understand that. This bit less clear on. And when it comes up in the lesson, you know to focus on it, and then you're more likely to get it. And we also want you to do lots and lots of wider reading. It's one of the key things that universities are looking for, so we want you to do lots of that. And this is your chance, and I'll talk about what I want you to do in a moment. I've been involved in various research projects over the years, and this is not just me saying this, it's true. The key to success at A-level is the effort you put in. Okay? There is very little link between your IGCSE results and your A-level results. If you've got those C's and B's to get yourself onto the A-level course, you're good enough to do really, really well. And the other way around is true as well. Just because you did really well in your GCSEs, don't think it means you're going to automatically do well in your A-levels. Okay, they are much harder, they are different. You might well have a big dip in form at the beginning of your A-levels. No need to panic, just keep working and it will come right if you keep working. Obviously this is quite a considerable narrowing down of your subjects, and we're now really starting to make quite firm decisions about the general area your academic and your work life is probably going to head into. With hard work and effort, there's no reason why you can't change your mind, but if you make the right decision in the first place, it saves you having to do all that extra hard work and catching up. So let's not go looking for work. The choices that you make over the next week or two about what A-levels you're going to choose will really shut some doors for you permanently. For example, I know some of you are thinking about studying medicine. So if you're studying medicine and you want to do, I don't know, geography, literature and art, well, stop, no. If you want to be a doctor, you almost certainly have to have done at least 3 sciences. Chemistry, absolutely, probably biology, probably maths, and sometimes physics too. But you have to have done 2 or 3 sciences and probably got at least an A in each one. It's not always like that though. You want to do, I don't know, geography. They don't even always insist on geography, although it would seem, like a good choice if you want to do geography at university. But they're not that bothered what the other subjects are at all. So sometimes it's really, really important, and other times they're more interested in your general academic performance. So again, some research is still a bit unsure what to do. My advice is always do what you're good at. Do what you enjoy. If you like it, you're more likely to put the work into it and keep going when times get difficult, and sooner or later they will. And do what you were good at in the past, you're probably going to be reasonably good at it in the future. Plus you tend to enjoy things you're good at, so that's probably the way to go. This is something we as teachers find very frustrating. If you haven't got really, really good grades in science and maths, you're unlikely to enjoy being an engineer. You're unlikely to be good at it. Same goes for medicine. Therefore, you need to modify your ambitions to what you're good at. You can't just keep fighting it because you think it's what you want to do. It's unlikely you'll be successful. It's unlikely you'll be happy. This is quite an important and interesting statistic. By the time you get to 25, which is not that long into your career, only 2% of 25-year-olds are doing what they thought they would be doing even at their end of their A-levels, let alone at the beginning. So don't get hung up on this idea that you have to be an engineer, or you have to do this job, or you have to do that job. Okay, the chances of you staying with one job throughout your life are not very high and getting slimmer. Again, don't do science jobs because you think science is where the money is. It is to start with. But over 10 years, those of us who did humanities, for example, catch up and overtake and end up being the better paid. The key in all this is you have a world of options out there for you, and you need to do some research and make sure you make good, sensible, clever choices. Exam success means universities will at least look at you. That's their first kind of sift. That's their first way of deciding who gets thrown in the bin and who doesn't. But that's only the first one. again and again and again and again. They say they want to see passion and enthusiasm for the subject. And without it, your applications are really boring. And I've seen enough university applications over the years. It's just, they are so dull, and it stands out a mile that you have nothing much to say. And you can't really fake it, and nor can you put it right in a couple of weeks. This needs to be a long-term project. So doing well in your class is no longer enough. It's really important, but it's not enough. You need to have other things that you can draw on to show what a great person you are. One of the best things you can do is read about your subject, and read quite in a specific way, and then you've got something you can talk about. We spent loads of money on wider reading non-fiction for you. Make use of it. Okay? You need to read lots of books on the areas you want to go on and study, the specific areas that interest you. If you can't find books in the library, talk to Miss Ellen, talk to Mr. Gould, talk to me, and we'll see what we can order in for you. Okay? And the other thing is, you don't just read them, you need to read them and make just brief notes, because you're going to need, or you might want to, write about what you've read in your university application. What was the main idea of the book? What ideas were they pushing? And then you can actually show that you've read this book rather than just picked it up and read the blurb off the back, because again, it stands out a mile if that's all you've done. University is about a high level of study, and that generally involves lots of reading. Not always true though. For example, if you want to be a fashion designer, then you have to be able to show me you have an interest in fashion, and usually that would mean making clothes and designing clothes. Other things that might help you show your inner brilliance are if you were in a drama production or you took part in MUN. We have essay competitions that come around from various universities every year, and other academic competitions. I'm not going to force you to take part, but if you want to show your commitment to academic learning and how great you are, this is a really good way. You could try getting an internship somewhere. Again, it gives you something interesting to talk about, something you've done. It could be visiting museums or art galleries. It all depends on what you want to do. But do something constructive outside of your A-levels. I and your teachers will have to write a reference for you at some point. And it is so hard to write a reference for some of you because you haven't done anything interesting. Give us something to write about and we can do it. If you don't give us anything to work with, it's really hard for us to write a good essay. And that includes just being in class. If you're in class and don't really contribute in any way, it becomes really hard for us to be positive about you. We do our best and we won't say anything negative and we won't try and ruin your chances, but it still comes across that we don't have a huge amount to say for you. Okay, you need to take responsibility for this. You need to be responsible for your learning, show your enthusiasm and your passion, and then we can reflect it in our reference about you. Earlier I showed you a picture of forks in road to kind of represent the choices you're making, but when you leave school it looks more like this than a simple, well, I could go that way or I could go that way. The choices in front of you are endless. To give you an idea of the range of things that are on offer, I looked at one university and one set of courses, and this one university had 21 different engineering degrees for undergraduates. So you can't just say, I want to be an engineer. There's loads and loads and loads and loads of different options for you, no matter what it is you want to study. Okay, so Bristol had options for you to study mechanical engineering or aerospace engineering or engineering mathematics or civil engineering or electrical engineering or electronic engineering. You could also do electrical and electronic engineering as one, or mechanical and electrical engineering, or automotive engineering, or biomedical engineering. You had the option to study abroad for a year. You had the option to turn it into a master's. You had the option to put these into work experience. So you spent 1 year in industry, so you were better prepared for a job. The list of what you can do is endless. Again, I was looking at physics. And you can do physics on its own, which will give you a broad idea of what the subject's about at university level. Or you could do mathematical and theoretical physics, mathematics and physics. Not sure what the difference is there, but presumably one's more practical than the other. Chemical physics, nuclear and particle physics, physics and astrophysics, physics and astronomy, just astronomy on its own. Applied physics, computer science and physics, physics and philosophy, physics with nanotechnology, so physics with little things, physics with photonics, whatever that may be, physics with space science, and you could just do physics. You could do any of these with a professional placement year, so you work in industry, so you maybe got a job waiting for you when you leave university. You could do any of these with a year abroad. The lists are endless. You have to do research and work out precisely what it is you want to study, and really importantly, why. As always with a presentation, we finish with questions. Unfortunately, I'm not able to answer your questions live, so if you'd like to email me any questions you have about this, I'll be only too happy to reply and give you the best answer I possibly can. Many thanks for listening to this. I know it's been a long presentation, but it is important that you make good decisions. So if you have questions, do get in contact. Otherwise, thank you. Bye.